Now, last month, Billie Eilish, who reportedly has a net worth of around $50 million and sells tickets to her show for around $200 to $400 each, told billionaires to give all their money away while accepting the Music Innovator Award.
Love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. And if you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Now, the celebrity said this as Mark Zuckerberg was reportedly in the room, and Billie Eilish has ramped up her attack on billionaires. Earlier this week, she posted a series of messages on Instagram, appearing to really take aim at Elon Musk, of course, the wealthiest person in the world, accusing him of hoarding wealth and he should actually be using it to solve global problems. She claimed he could end world hunger, rebuild Gaza, XYZ. She continued, labeling him a pathetic coward. Now, Elon has hit right back, saying she's not the sharpest tool in the shed. Esther, I think it's quite astonishing hearing this from celebrities. I mean, Billie Eilish, if she wanted to, she could be making all her concerts free. She could be giving away all of her millions.
Yes, a 23-year-old girl, singer, worth $50 million, who is making money off things like singing about birds of a feather, criticizing a man who has brought an infinite amount of wealth and job creation through his companies, and criticizing him for not giving all his wealth away is quite jarring. I imagine that thought process in her head probably looked like a monkey smashing two cymbals together and thinking that it was probably some great philosophical quote. But at the end of the day, these people are not to be taken seriously. And actually, I think Billie Eilish's statement really kind of signifies the decay and the slide into relevance of Hollywood. Because a few years ago, the news would have been all over this. Bernie Sanders would have been like, oh, yes, what a sage, and Billie Eilish. I think people just let celebrities talk now and treat them like toddlers having a bit of a rant, because it's just not serious anymore. Like, oh, you have a lot more money than me because you have $1 billion and I only have $50 million. Excuse me, that's about $49.5 million more than 99% of planet Earth.
Absolutely.
What are you talking about?
Absolutely. And Nick, to pick up on Esther's point, I mean, look at the contributions that Elon Musk has made to the world. It's extraordinary. SpaceX, Starlink, electric vehicles, PayPal, all the job creation. I mean, perhaps we could be grateful to Elon Musk for his contributions.
Yeah, I mean, the critique from a singer who told the Rolling Stone a couple of years ago that she grew up poor because her parents couldn't afford to pay for her horseback riding lessons as a child is a little bit rich, right? But look, this is Hollywood. This is the left. It's the rich criticizing the uber rich, and this conversation about wealth redistribution. I think what is kind of sad in all this is Nicki Minaj has announced. I'm sorry, not Nicki Minaj. Billie Eilish has announced that she is donating a significant amount of money that she's made off of this most recent tour to charity. Unfortunately, it's to climate justice and reducing carbon pollution. But she should go up there and make the case for why these charitable investments make sense. And if she were to go out there and lead from the front and really make a case for helping people, I think people would take her a lot more seriously. But no, it's got to be from the negative perspective of, the jilted 50 millionaire who didn't get horseback riding lessons as a child, not from the perspective of someone who's actually done something to help.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Look, another popular figure among the left who also doesn't believe in billionaires and doesn't believe they should exist and is, of course, not a fan of capitalism is New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. And Tom Homan is warning that New York is going to be seeing a boost in ICE enforcement. He says that New Yorkers will see stepped-up federal immigration enforcement ahead of Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani taking office. Here he is.
But New York City, I plan on being in New York City in the near future. We're going to do operations in New York City. We know in New York City, me and Mayor Adams at one point had an agreement to let ICE into Rikers Island so we can arrest the public safety threats and the safety and security of that facility, but the city council shut it down. So we're going to be coming to New York City. We're already there now. I mean, teams are there now. But we will increase the enforcement presence in New York City, again, because they're a sanctuary city, and we know we have an issue there with public safety threats hitting the street.
Esther, can I get your reaction to this? I suspect plenty of New Yorkers that voted for Zohran Mamdani are not going to be happy.
Certainly not. I mean, watching that clip made me think that he sounded like he'd be a good fit in The Godfather, just kind of the way he was talking about this issue. But look, we know that New York City, like many sanctuary cities across the US, that talk a good game, but then balk at the idea of having to take in thousands of immigrants and put them up in hotels and run up local districts, housing bills. Obviously, they're clearly not very happy with it on the back end of things, but they have to put a good front. I suspect what Tom is actually trying to do is get in ahead of the game, because based on what Zohran Mamdani campaigned on, you can see he will most likely try and aggravate efforts by ICE officials to arrest illegal immigrants in New York City, which is estimated to be in the hundreds of thousands, just like we've seen in other mainly Democrat-led cities like Chicago. So this is mainly, obviously, from a public safety perspective, because they're targeting mainly illegal criminals first before they go into illegal immigrants more broadly. And I'm not surprised by this. This is what happens when you kind of talk about supporting the, actually wanting to defund the police and replace them with 911 callers with social workers. And then when it's time for an election and people are balking at the idea, suddenly you support the police. Clearly, people can read between the lines. And I think Tom is trying to cover all his bases. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. Nick, can I get your thoughts?
No, I think, you're 100% right. And the thing that I think is just astounding to me is the best way to keep ICE off of the streets of your city, if you don't like immigrations enforcement, is to cooperate with ICE. And to the point that Homan made, if sanctuary cities would let federal law enforcement come in and arrest criminal illegal aliens from the safety of jails, courthouses, and prisons, rather than letting them back out on the street, we wouldn't need these highly militarized ICE teams, swarming into cities and making arrests. If immigrations and customs enforcement agents could be confident that state and local law enforcement would back them up and help them should they need help, we wouldn't need to send hundreds or thousands of ICE agents and the National Guard into major American cities. So I think this is a brilliant move by Homan to put the marker down. ICE is going to do their job, whether Mayor Mamdani likes it or not. And it's going to be kind of a question for the mayor and the city council of New York to decide, do they want to do it the easy way or the hard way? Because the feds aren't going in.
100%. Look, finally, Nicki Minaj, who's of course known for her rap music, turned heads at the United Nations. The superstar used her platform to call out the world's failure to defend religious liberty. She's now backing President Trump's efforts to address violence against Christians in Nigeria. Let's just take a listen to what she said.
Faith is under attack in way too many places. In Nigeria, Christians are being targeted, driven from their homes, and killed. Churches have been burned. Families have been torn apart, and entire communities live in fear constantly, simply because of how they pray.
Credit to Nicki Minaj. Esther, why is Nicki Minaj one of the few celebrities actually speaking out on this issue?
Because surprisingly, she's one of the few celebrities with the moral compass. And she's picked up on a story that has been largely ignored by much of the Western media. I mean, this year alone, 7,000 Christians in Nigeria have been murdered. Since 2010, you had tens of thousands of churches that have been burnt or attacked. You have whole dioceses in certain parts of the country that are being brutally slaughtered on a daily basis. And for her to say this and to actually give credit to President Trump for highlighting this, it's cost her, I believe, on recent estimates, 100,000 followers.
Wow.
But I think what she's gaining is a lot more, which is obviously putting attention on this critical issue. And you don't really hear about the persecution of Christians being taken that seriously. I mean, the number that we just heard quoted, 7,000 killed in Nigeria so far this year. That's the highest number of Christians killed anywhere in the world combined. So it's clearly a massive issue that's being carried out by Islamist groups like Boko Haram and Fulani herdsmen. And yet no one is speaking about it, because if you have to praise Donald Trump for actually, bringing attention to this, you'd rather stay silent in the corridors of Hollywood and protect your fickle fan base than actually draw attention to a real crisis and a real tragedy.
I mean, what does it say about the 100,000 followers that stopped following Nicki Minaj when she was highlighting violence against Christians in Nigeria? I mean, Nick, what do you make of that?
I think it's unfortunately indicative of what we see on the left in a lot of these conversations these days. And for some reason, the left has decided that there's virtue in weakness. And because they perceive that Christians are in the majority in the Western world, they can't conceive that potentially Christians in Africa or, Jews in the Middle East could potentially be the victims of their circumstance. So I give Nicki Minaj, a ton of credit for speaking out. I hope she continues to do it. I hope she inspires others to speak out. But it's a really sad day when it takes, a Hollywood rapper to speak out, to bring light to something when, there's a whole foreign policy establishment at the United Nations that exists theoretically to bring attention to situations just like this and put it to a stop.
Signal principal and pollster Nick Weinstein and writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue, thank you both so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.